So, Franco, how are you? Wie geht's?
Hi, Olga. I'm good so far. I'm working from home anyway, so that's fine.
And I know that when we were preparing our life, I saw two assistants, your assistants.
Yeah,
You
that's
have.
somewhere around me.
I hope we will see them
They will
on the
definitely
screen.
go. They will come through the screen, through the picture, definitely.
Okay.
First thing is I live right now in Hamburg.
Okay, not Berlin.
No, not Berlin, but Hamburg is a beautiful city. And currently we actually have nice weather. So, which is, Hamburg is a little more north and close to the sea. So it's a little bit more raining here than in Berlin. But right now it's beautiful weather. It's a very nice late autumn.
Franco, I know, and I met you for many years. I even was a promoter of Berlin Salsacongress previously. But even I don't know when and how you met and found for yourself salsa and Latin American culture that you decided to be into this business for so many years.
Well, let's take those two things a little bit separate: Latin culture and salsa.
Okay.
I think there's only very few people which know that. Back in the days, it was a really long time ago, I spent a long time in Latin America. I was working there for 1.5 years. And so that was when I was getting familiar with Latin culture in that sense. And then after I came back, a couple of years later, I met salsa in a discotheque in Darmstadt, which is close to Frankfurt, a small city. And that was actually kind of a revelation. It was a kind of really beautiful moment because I got into this discotheque. I was about to pick up a girl there to get her home. And I met this culture there, in the club. I came in and it was, they were playing salsa and merengue and, these kind of songs we don't know anymore right now. But in that time, it was just beautiful. And for me, as I was living before in Latin America, for me, it was a little bit like coming home and, meeting again this Latin culture. So I saw what was going on there. And the same moment I decided when I go back to Berlin a couple of days later, I will learn salsa. So I came back to Berlin. It was like 3 or 4 days later. I checked the dance schools. And 1 week later, I was in a salsa I think it was salsa merengue class, a workshop actually for a weekend.
I know that you also personally dance in salsa. Yes. Which style?
Well, I started with Cuban for 3 years, and then it sounds a little bit odd, but I got bored. After 3 years, I got bored, and I needed to get some more inspiration. And I was actually going at that time to a Salsa Congress in Haarlem, in Holland, with a couple of friends. And in that event, there was Luis Vasquez and Super Mario and Albert Torres and a few more. But basically, there was no Cuban. There was no Cuban dancing. It was only line style. It was actually LA style, salsa on one. And for me, that was completely new. I'm coming from Cuban salsa, and what they were dancing, for me, it was like, wow, what is this? When they said crossbody lead, I was, what crossbody what? I didn't really get that. And so it was really, really interesting experience, but it was really inspiring. And I was talking to Luis Vasquez, I was talking to Albert Torres, I was talking to Anitya, who was organizing the event in Harlem, and it was just crazy, So we came back to Berlin. And we said, wow, I think this is something we need to bring here to Berlin to also inspire more people. And that was when we decided to bring Luis Vasquez. It was in that time Luis Vasquez and Joby to Salsa Brava, to his ex-wife, to bring them to Berlin to teach them. And in the hall of Berlin, there was basically only Cuban salsa. In Berlin, there's a big Cuban community, and there was no line style. So we brought something which was completely new, to the people, it was a big success. So that's when we started with Line Style in Berlin. That was in 1999, really long time ago.
Okay. So how many people, do you remember how many people were at the first edition of the festival?
The edition of the Berlin Salsacongress was in 2001.
Okay.
And that was 2 weeks right after 9/11. And that was a crazy time. Maybe some people might remember, but 9/11 really changed history. And for more than a week, there were no flights, globally, no flights. And most of the instructors we had were coming from the US. And we didn't know if we can bring them in. So until basically the last day, it was always on the edge. But finally, we managed, everybody came except Angel Ortiz, which couldn't make it. He was a policeman. He was basically on duty during 9/11, and he couldn't make it. But everybody else we could bring, and we had around 500 people, which was probably double of what we expected. So it was a nice success. And it was one of the first events in Europe and the first bigger international event in Germany. And that was when we started in 2001. I went again to Harlem the following year. That was in 2000. And I was talking to Annetje and Alba Torres, and we were asking them for advice. We were asking them, so how do you do this? And how do you handle the whole thing with the instructors? Who are the top names? So who shall we invite and all this? So we got very valuable advice. And we also asked them, is it okay if we bring this concept to Berlin? I said, yeah, no problem. It's no problem. Yeah, just take it. And then we decided to do it the following year in 2001. So, but it was basically thanks for Alba Torres, the late Alba Torres, why we did it.
I see. What do you think was the main reason that the festival was growing bigger and bigger and bigger?
I think it just met of the time from 2000 to now to 2020. People started to travel much more, right? So we had EasyJet and Ryanair coming up, cheap flights, which allowed people to fly everywhere for 20, 30, 40 euro. And this enabled people to travel. And that makes it also that people were able to join events and share. And the other thing is also, for me, and this is still the beauty of the whole thing, and it still inspires me, we are a family all over the globe. Now, wherever I go, I meet like-minded people. And we do not need to speak the same language. It's not necessary. All what we need to do is we dance. So we have one common language. And now we have this global community. Even we differ in different opinions. There's on one, on two, Cuban, whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I can go now to Russia. I can go to Korea. I do not speak Korean or Russian, but I can meet people, like-minded people, and we can have a beautiful time together. So wherever I go, I'm never alone. And I think this kind of spirit and this kind of mindset is something which just met exactly the spirit of the time from 2000 now to 2020. And I think it's still, even now in times of COVID-19, it still hits the right point. People want to travel and people want to meet other people. And I think it's also in global terms, it's very important that we meet other people and we meet other cultures. Just as an example, I have been since 2010, I think I have been 8 times to Russia. I really like Russia. It's kind of, and for me, it was always interesting to see that Russians are so close to the mindset of Germans, really close. They're so different, but the mindset is pretty close. So when we meet now, this is nothing, we have a bad history, Russia and Germany. But when we meet as salsa people, it doesn't matter. And you can take this to any country. When we meet, it doesn't matter anymore where we come from. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter your color and all these kind of things, or what you did before. When we meet on the dance floor, we are all the same. And I think this is really something beautiful, beautiful concept, and it's attractive. The last time when we had, in 2019, the big one, we had 83 different countries.
Oh my God. And I know that when you are promoting the festival, you are also traveling to
Yes.
different congresses. So do you have your private jet?
I wish for no. No, it's still, I mean, I would love to travel much more, but there's a limited budget. And I also have to think always budget-wise, where does it make sense to travel? My belief is, if I want to have people coming from Ukraine to my event, I need to go first to Ukraine. I think it's a very important sign, Why should people come to my event if I do not even make the step to come to them? And so for me, this means if I want to have people, for example, from Asia was a focus of the last years, I need to go to Asia. And the sidekick for me is that I also get to know new countries. So it's a win-win situation. The truth is that every time I travel to an event, I learn. When I go to an event, for me, this is one of the most important things. I walk around, I see how they're doing it, and I always, at every single event, I get inspired. And eventually, this inspiration is being reflected in changes of the event. I just like to have an event every year which never looks the same like it was before. And this inspiration I get from other events. And there's always some events which really inspires me. As an example, most people know that Croatian Summer Salsa Festival, there's two things which I really admire with them. Is first of all, they are super well organized, and they have a very, very good customer service. And these two things make a big difference. And just this event inspired me on in this area. But I can actually name every single event, and I will always find something where I say, yes, that's something they do especially good, and I can learn from this. So it's always a good experience.
What conditions do you have for young artists, young DJ, how they can get to the stage of the festival?
Maybe the most important thing is, at least me, and I know a few of my colleagues do pretty much the same. We go to other events and we watch. So if I see a talent, if I see something interesting, I come and ask you. So the difficult part for every newbie, for everybody who just entering this community, is you need to get somehow visible somewhere. I cannot be everywhere, but the events where I go, I watch people. And for example, with DJs, DJs are the key for the event. If you make the wrong choice, they can ruin the event, and literally, because people will talk about it like shit. So even if it was just 1 hour, but they will really talk it into the ground. So it's very important to make a good choice there. And I think everybody deserves a chance. But we always have to find the right way. Staying with DJs, you may have noticed that we have a lot of male DJs, but there's only very few female. And as a promoter, this is also one of the things I need to bring ahead, is to give more space to the female DJs because they are just as talented as the guys, but for unknown reasons, like in all the industries, they have difficulties to enter the business. So I think it's also my job to give them some space so that they can showcase what they are doing and then hopefully from there start a career. And this is what makes the difference between a promoter and an organizer. As an organizer, you just organize an event. It could be anything. It could be a wedding. It doesn't matter. But as a promoter, you have a vision. And I know exactly where I want to be with the event in 2 or 3 years. And one of the things which really, for us as a community, is important is that we give more space to the female talent we have. Despite the fact that we are Latin culture doesn't mean that we disrespect women. It's just the contrary. Latin culture respects women. And we need to bring that back, and we need to give them more space. As a promoter, as the owner of an event, we can do this. And if it's not us doing it, who else could it be? So this is, for example, one thing. But that also means, with all due respect, that a few guys will be left behind. I mean, there's just so many spots. Sorry to say that, but now the focus needs to be, we need to bring the girls in the spotlight. And then once it's almost equal, then we can see also in a different way. But that doesn't mean that we look for gender. We still need to look for talent. You see,
yeah, it's first assistant. Yes, female
Yeah.
or it's female.
Two female.
I
Two
see. Yeah.
I like to work with females. And for me, I prefer humble people which are doing a great job and which are with the people. And I also go to the parties and I watch them and I see if they are social dancing or if they hang out at the bar. So hanging out at the bar is not really bringing any good to any event and not to our customers or attendees. So I'm not interested in those people. So if you want to get hired by any event, the best thing to do is just do a good job. And that means talk to the people, be nice to the people, dance with the people, and that's it. And then eventually, I think somebody like me, or Vladimir from Croatia, or somebody else will see you and will offer you an opportunity. Like for example, in Berlin, we have every 2 or 3 people where we can offer them a chance. It's not much, but we are hundreds of events out there, so there's a chance.
I would like to ask your opinion about sensual styles. What do you think why they are so popular right now? Why they are conquering the world, and why do you think sensual styles?
Well, look, you are asking the right person because I'm not a big fan of sensual, to be frankly speaking. I'm more.
But as an organizer, I'm asking you as a person who also brings.
Yeah. Look, this is kind of a mystery we try to solve already for many years. I think the main reason for that is that they use this kind of covered music, pop music, which is already familiar with many people, especially with the young people. And if you look at it, at least when I look at it, I see they're using English speaking or with English, with English language songs for bachata, for example, which is, as you know, if you're coming from Latin culture, this is kind of completely weird. But I think the reason is that most of the people can relate to English language. They can understand what they are singing, while they cannot understand Spanish. And that makes it much more difficult. And that's why the younger generation, they can rather relate to these kind of songs because they're actually not dancing to the music, They're basically doing lyrical dance. They're expressing with their moves what they hear. And that's a completely different thing than if you dance to the rhythm of the music. So I think that makes a big difference. But for the younger generation, like people which are now 20 to 35, let's say, for them, this pop culture is much more familiar. And I think that's why it's easier for them to relate to the music.
Yeah, but I think maybe dancing, maybe it's also easier than salsa. What do you think? Maybe because of the closer contacts to each other?
It's hard to say, I think I do not like to see it on levels of difficulty. So this was more difficult or this one is less difficult, because it also depends of each person. So, and I think there's also sensual bachata, for example, can be very difficult. So as difficult as salsa. So I wouldn't like to judge it that way, actually.
But did you try sensual bachata by yourself?
No, it's simply the music doesn't sound with me. It's just that the music for me already is like a no-go. Dominican bachata, I mean, as a music, Dominican bachata, I love it. But with all these remixes, I cannot relate. For me, it's weird. Kizomba, I love the music, but just to... it's actually Urban Kiss, not Kizomba, but Urban Kiss, I like the music to sit around and just relax and dream away. But dancing-wise, sorry to say that, sorry all Kiss people, for me it's boring. It's just boring. I know that there's a lot of different things you can do, but if I look at it, for me it looks like, no, it's not for me. I think Urban Kiss is big business. But for me, it's just, I don't want to do anything which I do not really love. If you do a business, you need to love what you do. Salsa is now for 25 years, part of my life. And even after 25 years, I can still, I hear a song, a new song I haven't heard before, and, it starts to burn again. It's like, oh wow, this is why I started salsa, because you hear that, all these different layers, and it's just beautiful. It's a big love for 25 years, and I believe it still will go on for a while. And I do not have the same feelings with bachata.
But from commercial point of view, why you didn't organize a separate event for sensual styles? Because it's commercial thing.
Because if you do such an event, you also need to go and be part of this community. Those people are not stupid. They know that you do this only for business. They know that you're not into this stuff. And I think that doesn't make sense. It's a waste of energy. If I go somewhere for salsa, people can feel that I am in love with salsa. If I go to a Kizomba event, people know I'm not a Kizomba dancer. They know that. They can feel that. They can smell it. And if you're not with the community, in that case, for example, with the Kizomba or Urban Kiss community, then it doesn't make sense. They should organize their events, not me for them. That's my point.
Why you didn't invite much live bands? I know you invited, but not much, not every year.
The reason for that is actually two reasons. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of live music as a dancer. Just as a dancer, because the songs are too loud, too fast, and too long. For me as a dancer, it's a nightmare. That's one reason. So again, I need to relate to it, or it doesn't make sense. The second thing is, business-wise, it doesn't make sense. The cost of a band is enormous. And I tried once in 2015, and I failed. I failed big time. and that, I cannot risk to lose so much money. I'm living from that. This is my job. And to bring a band is a huge risk. And just put that into perspective. The bands which are interesting for me, they are very old. They're very old people. Take as an example El Gran Combo. Those people are 75 plus. 75 plus. If I hire them now for next year, I mean, the odds are that one or the other probably doesn't make it. It's just a matter of age. Please, I don't want to say anything, but this is business-wise. You think about it and say, and there's no insurance. No insurance will cover that. So, and as you know, you're also organizer, or you're also with band, you pay upfront quite a big amount. So, and then it can happen that it's just not happening. You know what I mean? It's just an enormous risk. And on the other side, people are not willing to pay for that. Take the events which are having live music. Take for example, Croatia and Warsaw.
Warsaw and Croatia.
Warsaw. They can do that because they make a lot of money just by the number of people they have, and also structure-wise. So they have the funds to organize this, and if, let's say, the people are not willing to pay for it, they get it as an extra on top. Because it's actually what's happening in those two events. People get it as an extra on top. They do not pay extra for it. As soon as you ask them to pay, let's say, 20 euro extra for a live band, you will see people say, oh, no. Then no live band. They do not want to pay for it. And that makes it very difficult. As long as there's not really enough appreciation in our community so that people are willing to pay extra for the live band, then there will not be many live bands. And that's very hard to organize also. If I could make it happen, it would be a grand combo, definitely.
I see. Yeah. And as far as I know, you prepared really with a lot of new terms and conditions. And first question is, as far as I know, it was only salsa and mambo without essential styles.
Yes, we, as a matter of fact, actually we also played a little bit of bachata, and there was even 3 songs of kizomba. Because we had a DJ, we were streaming DJs from all around the world. And the DJ, which was streaming from Nairobi, they had a party there in Nairobi, and he was playing a mix. So it was salsa, bachata, kizomba, salsa, bachata, kizomba. So that's why we also had some kizomba. From the beginning, when we started to organize this year edition, which was from the beginning very small event, we only had 3 DJs we were bringing, which at that time, that was in May, I considered pretty safe. That was from Paris, from Austria, and from Slovenia. And that time, it looked very good for those countries. And all the other countries, it was clear we cannot make them come to us. So we said, okay, let's build a network and we will stream them. So we will have small parties all over the world. And from each of those parties, we stream 1 hour to Berlin. And people can dance to an amazing lineup of talented DJs from literally all over the world. And over time, things changed a little bit. Some of the DJs dropped out. For example, we had one from Brisbane in Australia, but they're in lockdown. So there was no way that they could make it. So they dropped out, but then others joined us, like the guy from Kenya. And that was actually a beautiful concept. So we had 2 screens in our main room, and we were streaming them to the screen, and people were dancing to the music of those DJs. Technically, we had a few problems. It didn't work all the time perfectly, but it was very nice atmosphere because they could also see what we were doing. We had a webcam there, So wherever they are, they could see us in Berlin and the other way around. And that made really very special connection. And I think it's a beautiful sign of being connected all over the world with salsa. In May, we already decided to postpone the event to 21, the original event. I already had the expectation in May that we will not be able to make a big event. So we should not even try. So we said, okay, but this is 20 years this year. We have 20th anniversary. So it would be a pity if we do not do anything. And so let's go for something small. And I was having DJ Dimitri here. He's now living in Stuttgart, as you may know. And he came here with his wife, and we were discussing for a weekend, what can we do, which DJs we want to connect with, and we made the basic blueprint of the whole event. And we expected, well, maybe in October it might be possible to have an event with 300 or 400 people. As we had it now, it was much smaller even. It was just 150 people. But it was just the right size for the conditions and the circumstances we have right now. And also in May, when we started to plan that, my expectation was that we have in our community 3 different groups of people. And that now in regards to the pandemic, to COVID-19, we have a small amount of people which just do not care about anything. So they would go to a big event tomorrow. They just don't care. They do not believe that there's a pandemic, and they just don't care. But this is a small portion of the people. And then there's another fraction which will just stay home until there's a vaccine and until everything is over, which is probably in 2023. And then from my point of view, there was always the biggest amount of people would be those people which would go to an event if it's a rather familiar event where they feel safe and where you have all the necessary precautions and safety in place. So that was my expectation. But now it turns out that actually the biggest amount of people is the smallest. And there's a lot of people which are really scared, which do not want to travel, and which do not want to put their family and their grandpas and whoever in danger. So they rather stay home. And it's actually a pretty small fraction of people which say, okay, I go to an event if it's a small event. If we are talking about a bigger event, I would say those people, the amount of people is even smaller. So even if you had a government permission, there would be no people now going to such an event. And that was actually a surprise for me. What I learned now over the last 5 months, that my expectations had to change all the time, and I had to adapt the event to what was really possible. So, second lesson, we learned flexibility. The good thing here is we already planned in May that it's going to be an event in daytime. So from 12 midday to 12 midnight. As you know, the alcohol rather comes into the game, in the night when it gets later. I don't know many people which start to drink in the afternoon, with all due respect.
Yeah.
I mean, so probably they would start at midnight or something like this. So there was never a big problem with alcohol, but that was one of the restrictions we had to handle from the authorities, that there's no sale of alcohol. But I think that was, as far as I'm concerned, was no big problem for anybody. Because the truth is, everybody, and I talked to most of the people this weekend, everybody was just happy that it was happening. Imagine this, before you always had people, oh yeah, but the floor, oh no, the air conditioner, and they were always complaining about something. This year, everyone was just like, thanks God, it's happening. We didn't believe in it, and we were afraid it's going to be canceled the last day, but it's happening, and I'm just so happy to be here, to be with my friends, and to have a chance to listen to this music and to have a dance. And they were really so thankful. And so not having alcohol around didn't matter. And wearing a mask all day long during dancing, at the training, when you're talking to people, everybody was wearing a mask, correctly a mask at all times. I was really amazed. I expected it would be a bigger problem, but there was almost nobody where we had to go and ask, please, can you put the mask? It was amazing. And I think this is right now, we like it or not, but this is the only thing we can right now do to make things happen. So for me, putting a piece of cotton into my face is really the least problem I have. So, but there was a long list. We had like 12 different points people needed to follow. The first thing is you get a form which you need to fill in, where you have been the last 2 weeks, if you have been sick, and contact with positive people. And also then that you got informed about all the measures you need to sign. That was no problem for anybody. And then you got your wristband. We had wristband with codes, so we could check in and check out everybody. And basically then the next step is you come in, you get measured the temperature check, and then we check you in with a scanner, with a barcode, and we check you out so that we can track exactly the time when you have been at the event. The reason for that is very simple. If there's any positive person, which is possible, it's always possible, then it turns out afterwards, let's say, Olga, you have been with us, and now you're tested positive, and now we can tell exactly you have been in the venue from 12 to 5 and from 7 to 9. So all the other times, people which have been only at the other times, they're not affected by this because they have never been in touch with you. And the barcode could also be used if we get in touch with each other. We talk like for a longer time, and we can scan each other. And then we know exactly, okay, Olga and Franco, they have been in touch for more than 5 minutes. So now the risk obviously is higher than if we just pass by. So,
still there is a risk that some people can get.
Yes.
But didn't you think about some, spoiled reputation, something like that? I mean, because you never know. After the event, of course, people still communicate to each other.
Yep.
In the hall, after the party,
yes.
Like in the morning. You cannot just say that this is a festival.
No. This made me some sleepless nights, because this. But we need to be aware. At the end of the day, life itself is a risk. So there's no risk-free life. But we need, from my point of view, we need to do everything possible to make it as safe as possible. And normally I deal with adults. I deal with people which can make decisions. And in this situation, those people which made the decision to come, they are aware of the risk and they take the risk. And they only take the risk because they know that we do everything possible to minimize the risk. But there is still a small risk. And now we are 1 week after. I didn't get any notification so far. I hope the best. A few more days, and then we will know for sure. But I think we did everything which is right now possible.
What do you think for the near future?
Well, I think for the near future, there will be only small events. And when we're talking about near future, I talk about 2021 and maybe 2022.
Okay.
At least. The minimum is another year. That's minimum. I rather think it's going to be at least 2 more years before we got through that. So there will be in that time, if you follow the rules, if you negotiate with the authorities, if you have a good concept, you may be able to bring ahead a small event. We're talking about 100, 200 people. Because more than 200 people, it is so difficult to control all this. And with a smaller event, it's much easier. And I think those events will be possible. But everything bigger than this, honestly, I'm not afraid. I go out, but I wouldn't go to a huge event right now, honestly.
You have the most desirable dream you have personally right now?
Well, it might sound a little bit odd, but I just wish to be able to travel again just as the way I want. You know, to make the decision and say, okay, next month I want to go with my girlfriend to Thailand. Last year we have been to Zanzibar, you know, all these beautiful places in the world I still want to see. And that's basically a really big wish I have, that we will go back to the situation where we can travel, really. And I also wish to everybody that they would be able to travel, because what you learn when you travel to other countries is priceless. And just if you put that into perspective, remember our parents, or my parents, or your parents as well, they didn't travel. Maybe they went to the neighbor country, they went, you know, these kind of things. They stayed in Europe. And just me alone, I already traveled to 70 different countries, 70. Okay. And there's still so many beautiful places to see. And that's where we get connected. And I do not consider myself only a German citizen. You know, it's more like I'm a citizen of the world. And I think many in our community are like this. They are more citizens of the world. They have friends all over the world, literally all over the world. We're not talking about, the neighbor country or the other city. No, all over the world, which is also a little bit thanks to Facebook and all these social media. But we are now connected. And I think this gives us a different perspective, a different point of view, and makes us less vulnerable for bullshit, to be honest, you know. And, you know, for racism and nationalism and all these kind of things. Because for us, it doesn't matter, you know. You're Ukrainian, I'm German, my girlfriend is Austrian. I just met the last weekend people from 10 different countries. So for us, this doesn't matter. And traveling is the key to create this atmosphere, this mindset. So I wish we can go back to this as soon as possible.
What is absolute happiness to you?
Well, actually, there's two things which makes me really happy. First of all, I really love to spend time with my girlfriend. I have a lovely girlfriend, and it's just now, especially now in the COVID time, you know, to not be traveling so much, spend a lot of valuable time with my girlfriend it's also priceless. And another thing which makes me really happy is the moment when you have this perfect song and the perfect dance. It's just happening once, I don't know, maybe once a year in normal times, that you meet this person where you just have this perfect dance. It's the perfect song. It's the perfect dance partner for this song. And it's like two people are melting into one. And whatever you do, the other person already knows, and vice versa. And this is just such a beautiful state of mind. I think only people which are dancing can understand that.
Yeah. But did you meet your girlfriend also?
Yes.
Salsa.
Yes.
So salsa unites, not only unites people, unites hearts.
Of course. I think for me it's hard to imagine to be with somebody who doesn't share the love and music. I think I don't know, it's difficult.
And your cats are also dancing.
Well, I have two cats. One is called Mambo and the other one is called Cha-Cha.
Oh, really?
I'm not kidding.
So they need to probably know the steps of each dance and show to each other.
If they hear the music, they really like the music. I think the best we can do is to adapt and to learn and to find a way to make things possible, because there are things possible. And but sometimes that means, we wish for this, we only get this. And for me, the point to become happy is to be happy with what you got. So if you have these kind of events now happening, we have reasons to be happy. Yeah, we wish for a big event. We wish to meet all our friends, not only a few. But gosh, I'm happy if I meet only a few of them. So that's, the recipe for happiness. Just be happy with what you got. And I really hope that we're going to see each other very soon.
Thank you very much. Please stay healthy, and we will see each other online for sure, but hopefully face to face. And thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Salsa unites people, and not only salsa, bachata, kizomba. People who are dancing, they are happy people. So thank you everyone who are watching us, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Olga Prihodka. You will be able to watch the previous editions with other organizers, DJs, and salsa artists. So thank you very much. Have a nice evening and see you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Olga.